second video of the day. Technically, it's actually the fourth video of the day. I have two reaction videos to Black Ops 7 things over on Ink TV, which is always linked down in the description. But these ones are your edited direct information, and oddly, this one is about the Black Ops 7 direct. You probably knew that there was a trailer that came out today. What you may not know is that there was a 17-minute direct which goes over the campaign, multiplayer, and zombies. Now, in this video, we're going to be breaking down everything multiplayer. There was actually way more information than I thought we were getting, and for the most part, I would say it looks pretty good. There's a few things that I'm worried about, and of course, I want to hear what your thoughts are down in the comments. But we're going to go through and we're going to break down all of these things because there is quite a bit that we can get at here.
If I take a step back and say what was the vision for multiplayer in Black Ops 7, it really started with that 2035 setting.
Moving forward to 2035 lets us push the gameplay, make sure that we're making the most balanced and fun game as possible.
So the first thing that you're going to see is the weapons, a little bit of gameplay mixed in, but the first two weapons that we see here are the M8 and the Peacekeeper, and listen to this.
We'll have 30 new weapons available at launch, including 16 that players are seeing for the very first time in Call of Duty.
So this is when they go in depth a little bit more into the weaponry. There's going to be 16 brand new weapons that have never been in a Call of Duty game ever before, and then 14 returning weapons. Now, these don't mean that they were in Black Ops 6 or anything like that, but just meaning they have been in previous Call of Duty games, which I think is a pretty good selection at launch. However, here is when we get into the first negative thing. At least to me, it's a negative thing. So this image is not a joke. This is confirming that carry forward is happening within Black Ops 7. And I truly believe this could be the downfall of the game. At launch, just XP tokens and gobblegums are getting carried forward. That I am completely fine with. However, with the beginning of Season 1, all weapons, operators, and operator skins will be there. Call of Duty already has a problem with when Season 1 is integrated, the game dies off. I truly believe that this is a mistake doing this. As soon as day one of Season 1 comes along, you're going to see Ninja Turtles. You're going to see all of these other things and Beavis and Butthead and all of this. And I truly believe this is a mistake. And if you want to prove my point, go to the post on Call of Duty and just like my post. I want to see if we can ratio them on the second check mark being removed, because the first one I'm completely fine with. But yeah, needless to say, I am really not happy about that one.
With the game taking place 10 years after Black Ops 2, we've unleashed the team's creativity to deliver exciting new perks, attachments, equipment, field upgrades, and of course, a huge selection of score streaks to play with. With our new arsenal of gadgets, we're introducing a system we call overclocks, allowing players to progress and unlock increased capabilities for equipment, field upgrades, and score streaks. The overclock system puts even more agency and power into the hands of our players, allowing more customization of your gameplay experience than ever before.
All right, so overclocking. Basically, the more you use a piece of equipment, like a cluster grenade, for example, from Black Ops 4 they announced is coming back, you'll essentially level it up and be able to overclocking it, giving it adjustments. So for example, the first overclock that you can get for the cluster grenade adds the ability to cook the fuse over time, or the second overclock, called tighter packing, adds an additional mini grenade to the projectile. So the more you use it, the more you level it up, the better it will actually be. For the drone pod, which is a field upgrade, the first overclock is this rapidly increases the speed at which drones are launched, and the second one, called radar link, leaves a mini-map icon at each drone's detonation point, giving you kind of UAV. The Rhino score streak, which is kind of like this giant robot that you can call in. First overclock is power module. It extends the run time for the Rhino, allowing it to last longer, which your girlfriend would love. And the second overclock is sonar pulse. This reveals nearby enemy locations near the Rhino on the minimap. The DAWG, the first overclock, is a larger battery, in other words, enhancing its time in duration. The second overclock is sentry mode, allows the DAWG to hunker down, guarding an area, essentially making it a sentry gun. In other words, you level these up and they have modifiers which will modify how they actually work, adding a little bit of depth to gameplay.
We're also expanding Omni movement to include new ways to outmaneuver and outstyle your opponents across the game, including wall jump for new traversal capabilities. We've also taken a close look at feedback and have made tuning adjustments across the board for a more controlled experience, including the removal of tactical sprint by default, with the ability to opt into that through our perk system.
So basically, wall running is back, but you can only jump off of a wall. I don't know why they wouldn't just put wall running in to begin with, as it's essentially the same thing. And then tactical sprint is now a perk as opposed to just being on by default, which I think is a win just all around. Everyone can agree.
We're taking multiplayer to bold new locations that are deeply connected to the narrative. You'll fight through covert guild facilities in Japan, revisit David Mason's childhood cabin in the Alaskan wilderness, infiltrate a remote tundra installation, and clash across a high-tech solar array in the Australian outback.
So a lot of people might not like when Call of Duty doesn't do a down-to-earth or a non-futuristic or modern style game. However, the one good thing about it is in multiplayer maps, they can do a very wide variety of things. I think having a map with a bunch of Easter eggs that's literally David Mason's childhood home is a pretty cool idea, and being able to like literally span the entire Earth, because that is how the campaign can actually take place, because it's all inside of the main character's minds. If you don't know what the story of the game is, click the link down in the description. I went over it earlier today, but I do like this. However, they can go too far with it, especially if they go too far with like the operator skins and things like that. But so far, I think the map looks pretty good, and especially with some returning maps like Raid, for example. So the 6v6 part of things, having 16 of these maps at launch, to me sounds really, really good. 3 of those 16 maps are going to be remake maps, as we talked about before, but where I get into worries about this is they also have another mode, and it is called Skirmish.
We're also delivering new large-scale maps paired with an all-new mode to the series.
One of our new modes at launch is Skirmish, a large-scale experience where teams battle it out to complete objectives. It is a big 20 versus 20 size map, but adding wingsuit into multiplayer changes the dynamics of it compared to just like a core 6v6 mode. This allows you to have not only a bigger play space, but also more objectives going on. A squad captures an objective, they could basically wingsuit across the map to capture the next objective.
So yeah, I haven't really ever liked like the ground war bigger style game modes, but this is where you're going to find your vehicles, things along those lines. You also see a cloaking ability, as you can see there. But yeah, like I said, not really my cup of tea, but I think there's going to be people out there who do enjoy this one. But now moving into some more like leveling, progression, and things along those lines.
For the first time ever in a Call of Duty, we have a connected campaign. All the great XP, progression, challenge systems you know and love from multiplayer, zombies, and Warzone will be in co-op campaign.
So yeah, you're going to be able to level up everything in the campaign as well, which is pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to see how XP works into there. And of course, the end game, which again, I did talk about in that video earlier today. The other thing that they announced is weapon builds. You can now save your weapon builds and use a code with them to share them with your friends. And this will work great for YouTube videos and everything like that. But anyway, I guess prestiging went so well this year that they're now going to be bringing it to weapons this year with a bit of a twist.
The second stage of prestige has always been evolving into weapon prestige. That deep engagement with your favorite guns is going to be recognized and celebrated. Enter weapon prestige, unlock that unique prestige attachment that is different with every gun, complete 2 weapon prestiges, and you're going to graduate into weapon prestige master with hundreds of levels to climb through. There are more ways to earn camos than ever in Black Ops 7.
Okay, I want to be really clear about this one, because basically the way that this works is there's 3 different weapon prestiges. Every time you prestige a weapon, it's going to unlock a prestige attachment that is going to completely change the way that a weapon actually works. When you prestige a weapon, I believe it only locks your optics for your attachments. All of your other attachments you are free to use. Each prestige is also going to give you a weapon camo, which is seemingly somehow going to play into the overall camo grind for each weapon, which they didn't fully explain as of yet, but it has something to do with these prestiges. But they also announced one other grind that everyone was asking for all the way through Black Ops 6.
And looking ahead to our post-launch seasons, we're excited to bring weekly challenges to Black Ops 7. With unlockable gameplay rewards to earn, challenges for all modes, and multiple completion weapon camos to chase each and every season.
So in other words, the systems that we had in Modern Warfare 3, where each season we would get weekly challenges, eventually leading up to seasonal camos, are going to be there. They even announced multiple seasonal camos, which is really good. The only other thing that they really talked about is the user interface of the game. And when it comes to this, it appears as though they're calling it cerebral interface, which is kind of like a heads-up display that is built into your glasses or goggles or whatever you're wearing. And also it appears as though your health bar might actually be in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, as well as you can see some interactions with various kill streaks. And I must say, already the kill streaks do look better than some of the kill streaks, or most of, if not all of the kill streaks that we have in Black Ops 6. Now, when could we play this? First of all, I believe Call of Duty Next is on September the 30th. Now, after this, we're going to have the early access weekend only for pre-orders, and I'm sure there's some other ways to get it too. Maybe Twitch drops, we'll have to wait and see, which is going to go to the 5th. And then on the 5th to the 8th, that is the open beta. Now, the weird part about this is they're running it over one whole week as opposed to doing 2 weekends back to back. I don't think we've ever seen this before, at least to my knowledge. So aside from this, your pre-order bonuses include the Reznov bundle, which is actually going to be challenges in Black Ops 6. Of course, Karma, Harper, Ted, and Reaper, which are going to be skins in multiplayer, as well as some Gobblegums, a permanent unlock token for prestiging, the Black Cell Battle Pass, and a bunch of weapon blueprints, which does include the Peacekeeper, which I know a bunch of people are excited about. So this is essentially everything that we know as of right now. I think the predominant thing is going to be, what does the gameplay loop actually feel like? Do we feel like we are getting just another year of getting the same content recycled over and over again? Or are some of these systems like the weapon prestiging and things like that going to be better? Also, weird to say, we heard absolutely nothing whatsoever about Warzone, like literally zero, which I think will continue to be a thing once again at Call of Duty Next, because there was no announcement that Warzone was going to be there either. So a little bit weird for this year, but this is everything multiplayer for now. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good jazz, and until next time, peace.
We are